Good evening, everyone. In this episode, we're going to be looking at the study sheet that we got as a gift, and we're looking at science. So let's get ready for that. I hope that everyone will be able to see what we have here. We start off with sense organs. The skin. So here are some facts about the skin. What is the name of the tough and flexible covering of the body which protects and keeps it at the right temperature? The skin. What does the skin contain? Blood vessels, sweat glands, fat cells, hair follicles, and sensory receptors. What do sweat glands absorb? Well, they absorb urea, salt, and water found in the body. These are used to make sweat or perspiration. Tiny holes in the surface of the skin are called pores. What is the outer layer of the skin called? Well, it's called the epidermis. What is the inner layer of the skin called? It's called the dermis. What is the name of the pigment made below the surface of the skin? Melanin. Number 8. What is the name given to the doctor who specializes in the care of the skin? Well, that person is known as a dermatologist. We go on now to the tongue and nose. So all of these are grade 4 content areas. What is the function of the tongue? The tongue enables us to talk and swallow. What is another name for taste buds? Some people say papillae, some people say papilla. But as long as we have the correct spelling, P-A-P-I-L-L-A-E. Okay. Number 11. What are the 4 main tastes recognized by the tongue? We have sweet, sour, bitter, and salty. Hang on just a sec. All right, let's go again. What is the function of the nose? The nose moistens and filters the air we breathe. The nose allows you to make sense, a play on the word, of what is taking place in the world around you. Number 13. What are the 2 openings in the nose called? and these would be the nostrils. What is the what lines rather the inside of the nose? And that would be the mucous membrane that warms up and moistens the air. It makes mucus. So the mucous membrane makes mucus. So what does mucus do? Well, mucus traps germs, dust, and other small particles that may irritate the lung. Number 16, what are receptor cells called? They are the receptors. Number 17, how do we detect flavors? Well, the taste and smell of food are combined to give their flavors. That's why sometimes if you have a cold, it's so difficult for you to really enjoy your food. Number 18, the eye. What is the function of the lens in the eye? The lens bends light rays and focuses them on the retina. If light is not focused on the retina, then we are not able to see properly. Okay, light must be focused on the retina. And if the retina is working properly, then we will be able to see. What is the sclera or the sclerotic? This is the white part of the eye. It is the clear, tough tissue that supports the frame of the eyeball. It maintains the shape of the eyeball. At the front of the sclera, it becomes clear and is called the cornea. So what then is the cornea? The cornea is located at the front of the eye. It is transparent and allows light to enter the eye. All right, so what is the iris? This is a colored part of the eye. It is a disc of muscles which control, or book says regulate, the amount of light entering the eye by changing the size of the pupil. All right, so what is the pupil then? The pupil is the hole through which light enters the eye. It is in the center of the iris. All right, 23. How does the pupil behave in dim light? Well, in dim light, the pupil expands or opens up to allow more light in. 24. How does the pupil behave in bright light? In bright light, the pupil contracts or gets smaller to allow less light in. In fact, if you have too much light hitting the sensitive retina, we can damage the eye. That is why people like welders who do electrical welding, they will wear this very dark screen, right? Or wear dark glasses to protect the eyes. Number 25. What is the retina? This is the innermost layer of the eye. Images of things we see are formed upside down on the retina. It is like a screen. It can be compared to the film in a camera. And film, not the cameras now, the long time cameras. All right. You have to get that film, take it out of the camera, take it to the studio and have them develop it in a dark room and so on. Digital cameras behave differently. Number 26. What are the names of the light sensitive cells found in the retina? So they would be the rods and the cones. So what are the functions of the rods and cones? Well, rods allow us to see in black and white and in dim light, while cones allow us to see colors, but they only work in good light. 28. What is the optic disc? This is also called the blind spot. So on some diagrams, you may see the optic disc. On others, you may see the blind spot. They're referring to the same thing. So this is a small area on the retina. The blind spot. Hold it. Let's go down and find this. 29. Yes, here it is. A small area on the retina. The blind spot contains no rods or cones to receive light rays. That's why it's referred to as the blind spot. So what then is the vitreous humor? This is a jelly-like substance that fills the eye. It prevents the eye from collapsing. 30. What is the optic nerve? The optic nerve carries electrical signals from the retina in the eye to the brain. The brain rearranges the image so that we see things right side up. So really, we see with our brain and not necessarily with our eyes. All right. As weird as that sound. Because if the part of the brain responsible for interpretation of the electrical signals from the eye is not working, then even though everything else is in place, one would not be able to see at all. 31. When a person can see nearby objects clearly but cannot see faraway things well, it is called nearsightedness or short-sightedness. What causes this nearsightedness? Well, nearsightedness exists because the eyeballs are too long. So the image of faraway objects reform in front or come to focus in front of the retina. So they fall short of the retina. All right, so how can nearsightedness be treated? To treat this condition, an optician prescribes spectacles or glasses with concave lenses. Now we need to remember how the lenses look. The concave lens is thick at the edge and thin in the middle. What does it do? It spreads out light so that more light rays can come to focus on the retina. What is farsightedness? Farsightedness or longsightedness. A person who is farsighted can see faraway objects clearly. What causes farsightedness? This condition exists because the image is formed behind the retina, as the eyeball is too short from front to back, or it falls far from the retina. All right. So how can farsightedness be corrected? This condition may be corrected by the wearing of eyeglasses with convex lenses. So convex lenses causes light to converge, meaning that they come to a focal point. Concave lenses cause light to spread out, while the convex lens brings light rays together. One example of this is a magnifying glass. So if we're on the netball court and we had a magnifying glass, we could adjust that focal length until we see that nice bright point of light. Okay, so that's what the convex lens, that's how it affects light rays. So what is the field of vision now? The field of vision, the area that the eye can see without turning the head or moving the eyes in any way, is called field of vision. 38. So we move on now to the ear. Name the parts of the ear that make up, name the parts rather that make up the outer ear. So we have the pinna and the ear canal. What are the parts that make up the middle ear? We have the eardrum, the ossicles, the hammer, anvil, and stirrup. In class, I like to say the ear has 3 bones. You cannot miss them. So here it is: hammer, anvil, stirrup. So that's where we get the has. And then now miss them: M-I-S, malleus, scientific name for the hammer; incus, scientific name for the anvil; and stapes, the scientific name for what we call the stirrup. Number 40. What parts make up the inner ear? Well, the inner ear is made up of the cochlea, semicircular canals, and the auditory nerve. Why do we need 2 ears? We need 2 ears to help us to gather sounds from all directions. They like to ask this question: if someone were to lose the pinna, right? or even to lose one of them, what would happen to that person? And the answer is they're not going to necessarily go deaf, but their ability to hear sounds from all directions would be diminished or decreased. So what is the function of the pinna? Collection of sound waves. What is the function of the ear canal? To carry sound waves to the eardrum. So the outer ear is responsible for collection and direction of sound waves towards the middle ear. Okay, so what's the function of the eardrum then? To turn sound waves into sound vibration. Number 45, what is the function of the ossicles? To amplify sound or to, see if we have this here, 45, yes, 45, or to make sound vibrations stronger. 46, what's the function of the cochlea? To turn sound vibrations into nerve impulses. 47, what is the function of the auditory nerve? To take sound or nerve impulses to the brain. Let's go. 47. Need to get back to 48. So 48. Oh, sorry. What is the function of the semicircular canals? Well, the semicircular canals help us to keep our balance. So even though they are within the ear, the inner ear, they have nothing to do with hearing per se. They help us to keep our balance. And remember now, guys, that the inner ear is fluid filled. So we have a liquid there. So what happens when we spin around? All right, so we're spinning, spinning, spinning. The fluid in the semicircular canal will be moving. When you stop, that fluid continues to move, and that is one of the reasons why we will feel dizzy. Some people say giddy, or you're about to lose your balance. Okay. 49. What is the Eustachian tube? Well, the Eustachian tube is a tube that connects the middle ear to the throat. Its purpose is to balance the pressure in the middle ear with the pressure in the environment. And we have this experience whenever we're traveling from, say, Mandeville, and we're coming down that hill, we have a change in air pressure. So sometimes, you feel you have to open your mouth to relieve that pressure. All right. Number 50. What is it called when your eyes play tricks on you? An optical illusion. Number 50, light and sound. Next topic. 51, what is light and how does it travel? Well, light is a form of energy and it travels in straight lines. 52, how fast does light travel? Light travels at a speed of 300 kilometers per second. Traveling at this same speed, light takes approximately 8 minutes to reach the Earth from the sun. Okay, so 300,000 kilometers per second, and it takes all of 8 minutes to get from the sun to Earth in that amount of time. So it's a good distance away. And remember, in social studies, we understand that a light year is not a measure of time, but a measure of distance. Okay, through which medium does light travel fastest? Through the air. How will a shadow change? Shadows form in the morning, are taller, and gradually become shorter as they approach midday. At midday, the sun is overhead and the shadows are smallest. Afternoon shadows generally become longer between midday and when the sun sets. So now, remember this one, that the shadow always forms in the opposite direction to the source. So if it is that the sun is to the east, the shadow will be to the west. Okay. And that noonday thing, the shadow sometimes is not seen. That doesn't mean it's not there. It's where it would be under your what? Under your feet. Okay. So shadow still there. You're just not seeing it under your feet. It becomes more visible in the morning at an angle and in the afternoon at an angle. What is a solar eclipse? A solar eclipse occurs when the moon blocks out the light from the sun, from parts of the earth, and casts a shadow on a part of it. In a solar eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth. In a solar eclipse, the moon comes between the sun and the earth. So what then is a lunar eclipse? An eclipse of the moon or lunar eclipse occurs when the earth blocks out the light of the sun and casts its shadow on the moon. In a lunar eclipse, the earth comes between the sun and the moon. 57. How does your image appear on the convex side, that is the back of a shiny spoon? The image appears right side up and enlarged. And we did this in class. 58. How does your image appear on the concave side or the inside of a shiny spoon? Go down and get 58. So here we go. Your image will appear upside down. 59. How does light behave when it passes through a convex lens? Light rays bend inward until they come together. Remember, I was using this word converge at a point called the focus or the focal point. So, convex brings light together, they converge. How does light behave when it passes through a concave lens? When light passes through a concave lens, they spread out or diverge. Remember those two words, converge to bring together, diverge to separate, to spread out. Number 61. How many mirrors does a periscope use? 2. Remember now, we have different optical instruments, and the periscope is one optical instrument that can be used to see around corners. Periscope also used on the submarine. All right. How many mirrors does a kaleidoscope use? 3. What mnemonic device is used to remember the order of the colors in the spectrum of white light? Roy G. Biv. Again, Roy G. Biv. R, red, orange, yellow, green, come on now, blue, indigo, and violet. 64. What are the primary colors of white light? Colors of light. Remember, Roy G. Biv. Once you do it like that, you won't forget it. So when we're talking about light, remember Roy, red, G, green, Biv, blue. Got that one? However, when we look at the colors of what? Paint or pigment, it will be red, blue, and yellow. That will be for paint or pigment. But once we're talking about light, remember Roy G. Biv, red, green, and blue. Roy G. Biv. What are the colors? What colors of light, when mixed, give yellow? Red and green will give us yellow. What colors of light, when mixed, give cyan or peacock? Blue, blue and green. What colors of light, when mixed together, give magenta? Red and blue. 68. Why do objects have different colors? They reflect their own light from the spectrum. Why do things have different colors? because they reflect their own light from the spectrum. Number 69. What is the pitch of a sound? Well, the pitch of a sound tells us how high or low the sound is. 70. What is the frequency of a sound? The frequency of a sound is the speed at which an object vibrates to make a sound. The faster the vibrations, the higher the frequency. The faster an object vibrates, 71, the higher the frequency. High frequency produces a high pitch. High frequency produces a high pitch. So, if that is true, then slow vibrations are called low frequency. A low frequency produces a low pitch. 73. How can you change the pitch of a guitar? Well, you can change the pitch by changing the tightness or the thickness or the length of a string. If you tighten the strings of a guitar, you will increase the pitch. Long and thin strings produce the highest pitch when plucked. If you loosen the strings of the guitar, you lower the pitch. Short and thick strings produce the lowest sounds when plucked. 76. What is the intensity of sound? Well, the intensity of sound is the loudness. This is 76. Is the loudness or softness of the sound. So that's intensity. It is the amount of energy the sound produces. It is measured in decibels. So sound is measured in decibels. 77. It takes sound much longer than light to travel over the same distance. You can use this knowledge to estimate how far away a lightning flash is. When you see a lightning flash, start to count off the seconds until you hear thunder. If you count 3 seconds before you heard, or if you hear the thunder, let's see where we are, 70. Yes. Then the lightning flash was about 1 kilometer. Hold on, losing. 1 kilometer away. If the lightning takes a count of 6 seconds before you hear the thunder, the lightning flash was about 2 kilometers away. 3 seconds, 1 kilometer, 6 seconds, 2 kilometers, 9 seconds, 3 kilometers, 12 seconds, 4 kilometers, 15 seconds, 5, 18 seconds, 6 kilometers, 21 seconds, 7 kilometers, and 24 seconds, 8 kilometers away. So here we have a ratio here of 3 to 1. Okay. 78. Through what medium does sound travel the fastest? Sound travels fastest through solid. It travels faster through metals than through wood, than water, and then slowest through air. So the more dense something is, the better sound will travel through it. So density, how the molecules are arranged, the more closely packed they are, then the denser the material is. So steel has a greater density than a piece of wood. What is an echo? An echo is reflected sound. Sound waves are reflected by hard objects and are absorbed by soft objects. Number 80. When you blow into a bottle, the column of air inside the bottle, that's what's vibrating. If the bottle has a lot of water, then there is a shorter air column. If there is a little water in the bottle, then there is a lot of air. So the amount of water controls the amount of air present, right? And that, let me read that section again. So the amount of air, the amount of water rather, controls the amount of air present to start vibrating. If the air column is short, it vibrates quickly. So that's when the bottle is almost filled. So the pitch is high. A long column of air, when you have little water in there, would cause the air now to vibrate slowly, giving you a lower pitch. Let's look at this decibel reading for some sounds. So a whisper is about 15 decibels, soft music 30, normal house sounds 45, conversations 65, heavy street traffic 75, thunder 110, and painful sounds or noise 120 decibels. 81. We're moving now to simple and complex machines. What do machines do? They make work easier. Machines make work easier. So what are the three types of simple machines? Well, we have wheel and axle, inclined planes, and levers. What is a complex machine? A complex machine is made up of two or more simple machines. 84. What are the parts that make up a lever system? Well, we have the fulcrum or pivot, the load or resistance, and the effort or force. 85. What is a first class lever? A first class lever has the fulcrum between the load and the effort. For example, a scissors. What is a second class lever? Well, a second class lever has a load between the effort and the fulcrum. For example, a wheelbarrow. A third class lever has the effort between the fulcrum and the load. For example, a pen or pencil, or a shovel when you're holding the shovel. So remember our little song, FLE 1, 2, 3. And here they have it now at 88. What is the mnemonic device for remembering the three classes of levers? They have FRE 1, 2, 3. I use FLE 1, 2, 3. Same thing. F, the fulcrum in the middle, first class lever. The load in the middle, second class lever. And the effort in the middle, third class lever. Let's look now at classes of levers found in the body. Body part, fulcrum, load, and effort. The head, we have the fulcrum now being the joint between the head and the backbone. What's the load? The head. And the effort is from the muscles at the back of the neck. Your arm, the fulcrum, elbow. The load is your arm, and the effort will be the bicep muscles, biceps, in your upper arm. Your foot, your toes provide the fulcrum. The load is your body, and the effort is supplied by the muscles at the back of your leg. Number 89. What is a wheel and an axle? A wheel and axle has a rod that passes through the center of a wheel, so they both turn together. Remember, we said that if we have just the wheel and no axle, we don't consider that a simple machine. That would be a what? A roller. Okay. Number 90. What are some examples of a wheel and an axle? Well, we have a door knob, a car steering wheel, and a pulley. 91. What are some other examples of inclined planes? So what are some of the examples of the inclined plane? Well, a ramp. So over by the grade 3 block, where we have that access area for if somebody needs to get to a classroom with a wheelchair, they, instead of going up the steps, that would, not be safe, they have that ramp there that will allow anybody who is wheelchair bound to be able to get there. So that's an example. And the ramp helps us to move something from one level to the next, from a lower level to a higher level, or from a higher level to a lower level. We have the wedge and screw. What's a wedge? A wedge would simply be two inclined planes placed back to back. 93. What are some examples of wedges? Well, a knife blade, an axe head, shovel blades, fork tins, the teeth, for example, your incisors, the points of pins, needles, and nails. Those are all examples of wedges. What's a screw? A screw is an inclined plane wrapped around a metal rod with a wedge at the end of the rod. The pointed end of a screw is called the wedge. 95. What are examples of screws? Jar covers. So, like the peanut butter jar cover, you screw it down. The light bulb, they call it the Edison bulb. You turn that one and you screw that in. The stools that spin up or down to change the height. Okay, wrench. It is 95. Let me go down. 95. Good. We have now rocks, minerals, and soils. So 96. What is the rock cycle? The rock cycle is the continuous change of rocks from one kind to another over time among the three main rock types. Logically now, 97. What are the three main types of rocks? We have the igneous, the sedimentary, and the metamorphic. 98. What are the pressure? Sorry, well, they have pressured. I would say preserved. What are the remains of living things called? The preserved remains of living things in rocks called. These would be fossils. 99. What are some of the examples of igneous rocks? We have granite, pumice, gabbro, basalt, quartz, tuff. This one that I will not even try to call, and obsidian. Okay. 99. That was 99. 100. What are examples of sedimentary rock? We have coal, limestone, shale, conglomerate, and sandstone. 101. What are some examples of metamorphic rock? This one looks like schist, gneiss, marble, and slate. 102. How are igneous rocks formed? Igneous rocks are formed by the action of volcanoes. And we also like to say that igneous rocks are rocks of fire. Number 103. Let's get this in view. How are sedimentary rocks formed? These rocks are formed in layers under water. Wind and water carry broken down rocks to the oceans and rivers. The broken down rocks are then settled in layers at the bottom of the ocean and rivers. Now, we did our own little investigation with this. TC brought a bottle with dirty water. We allowed that bottle of dirty water to sit. After a few days, it separated out nicely. We saw the different layers, and over time, over a few weeks, we observed that when we turned the bottle over now, we no longer saw the stones and so on falling to the bottom of the bottle, right? They had come together and they were beginning to fuse. And as we said then, if this could happen in just a few weeks in a little bottle that does not have a lot of water, think about under the ocean where we have millions of gallons of water, some in some places miles deep, putting pressure on the sediments there. So it will help it to form sedimentary rock. Number 104. How are metamorphic rocks formed? Metamorphic rocks are rocks that have been changed from sedimentary or igneous rocks by a process of heat, pressure, or chemical action. Rocks and their uses now. Coal, not charcoal now, the rock coal. Coal used in power plants to make electricity. Limestone, manufacture of cement, paper, insecticides, linoleum, fiberglass, and glass. Shale, the manufacture of bricks and cement. Conglomerate used in the construction industry. Sandstone used mainly for construction. Granite used in construction for ornamental stones and monuments. Pumice used in hand soap and emery board. So it's used as an abrasive. Gabbro used as crushed stone for concrete aggregate, railroad ballasts. Basalt, aggregate, floor tiles, and road stones. So we have marble, used for flooring for monuments, gravestones, work surfaces, and for the general construction of buildings. 105. What are some examples of minerals? We have garnet, talc, quartz, bauxite, gold, diamond, silver, salt, tin, and zinc. 106. What are the physical properties used to identify minerals? We have the color, the luster, the streak, transparency, cleavage, or fracture. What is soil made up of? Well, soil is made up of many different particles, such as sand, clay, and humus, which is the decayed remains of dead animals and plants. 108. If you were to mix some garden soil in with water in a container and leave it to settle, how would the layers appear? So at the top of the container, or well, at the bottom of the container, it says we would have stones. Then above that, just above that, we'd have sand. Above that, we would have clay, then water, then humus. 109. What is weathering? Weathering refers to changes in the surface of the earth caused by changes in weather. Rain, plants, and gases in the atmosphere all contribute to weathering. What is soil erosion? Soil erosion is the wearing away and the removal of topsoil from the surface of the earth. Soil erosion can be caused by overgrazing, deforestation, and poor farming practices. What is soil conservation? Soil conservation is the act of reducing the amount of soil erosion and maintaining soil fertility. This can be achieved by the following: maintaining the appropriate levels of nutrients in the soil, crop rotation, growing a different crop each year, using natural and man-made fertilizers, resting the soil, preventing soil erosion, preventing and remedying soil contamination, making terraces, preventing animals from overgrazing, and planting suitable crops for the soil. Air and water. What is the atmosphere? Well, the atmosphere is the thick blanket of air or gases that surround the earth. 113. What are the major gases that make up the atmosphere or dry air? Well, the major gases are nitrogen, 78%, oxygen, 21%, carbon dioxide, less than 1%, argon, and water vapor. Nitrogen is the most abundant gas on Earth. Oxygen is the most important gas for life on Earth. 113. It says now that carbon dioxide is a gas that traps heat. If more carbon dioxide, CO2, is released into the Earth's atmosphere, the Earth will get warmer. Plants need CO2 to make their own food. Remember photosynthesis? If carbon dioxide were removed from the Earth's atmosphere, then all living things would die. Okay, we need the heat to hold some amount of heat. The plants also need it. And if the plants, which are the producers, die out of the food chain or the food energy chain, then every other thing will die. Human beings breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. I do not like this statement. It should be, more correctly, that human beings remove oxygen from the air that they breathe in, because remember that air is a mixture of gases. So even when you inhale, you are taking in some amount of carbon dioxide. But when you exhale, you put more carbon dioxide into the air that you're breathing out. All right. So plants take in carbon dioxide. Let's get that. That was 113. Okay, so 114. Carbon dioxide. Let me see if we have a better. Yes. And let out oxygen in the atmosphere. So if we continue to destroy the rainforests, then we have less oxygen and more carbon dioxide will be in the Earth's atmosphere. Into how many layers is the Earth's atmosphere divided? The Earth's atmosphere is divided into 5 main layers. Troposphere, layer closest to the Earth's surface, and most of Earth's weather takes place in the troposphere. The stratosphere, the layer immediately above the troposphere, and most of the ozone in the atmosphere is contained in the troposphere. The mesosphere, the layer immediately above the stratosphere, and this is the coldest layer of the atmosphere. Meteoroids and rock fragments burn up in the mesosphere, the thermosphere, the outermost layer of the atmosphere. And this is the hottest layer of the atmosphere. The exosphere forms part of the thermosphere and is called the outer thermosphere. It gradually merges into space. Okay. In class, we have, yes, in class, we have a little saying, the stars meet there exactly. Troposphere, the stars, stratosphere, meet mesosphere, their thermosphere, and exactly would be for the exosphere. Number 15. In which layer of the Earth's atmosphere does weather occur? Well, most of it happens in the troposphere. In which layer of the atmosphere do space shuttles orbit? In the thermosphere. What is referred to as the universal solvent? Water. All right. So what is a solute? A solute is any substance that can be dissolved. What number 119? When a solvent and a solute are mixed together, what is the result? A solution. So what now is the chemical symbol for water? H2O. 121. In what 3 states can water be found? Water can be found as a solid, a liquid, and a gas. What is the freezing point for water? 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Yes. What is the boiling point? And this should be for pure water. What is the boiling point for pure water? 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. 124. Approximately what percentage of the Earth is water? Approximately 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Seawater is referred to as saline water. Saline has to do with saltiness, salinity. How much of the human body is made up of water? Approximately 2/3 or 70% of the body is made up of water. Water makes up a large part of our blood, saliva, digestive juices, urine, and sweat. All right, we continue. What are the waterborne diseases? So the waterborne diseases are cholera, typhoid fever, and poliomyelitis. How can water be purified for drinking? By boiling, filtration, and chlorination. What is evaporation? Evaporation is the change of water from liquid to gas or water vapor. What is transpiration? Transpiration is a process by which plants lose water out of their leaves. What is condensation? Condensation is the changing of water vapor to liquid water droplets in the air to form clouds or fog. What is precipitation? This occurs when condensed water vapor falls to the surface of the earth rather, in the form of rain, snow, fog, drip, sleet, or hail. Weather and climate. What are the elements of weather? The elements of weather: wind, sunshine, rain, cloud, temperature, air pressure, air, and wind speed. A meteorologist measures wind speed in knots. What is humidity? This is the measure of the amount of water vapor in the atmosphere. Humidity is measured in percentage. When the air is saturated and cannot hold any more water vapor, the humidity is 100%. A hygrometer is used to measure humidity. What is dew? Dew is water droplets that are formed upon surfaces on or near the ground, usually at night when the air is cooled toward its dew point. What is dew point? The dew point is the temperature when the amount of water vapor in the air is at its maximum. Don't like that definition at all. 137. All right, fair enough. It's at its maximum. And then if it is that well, to make it more complete, if it is that this water vapor then makes contact with a cool surface, then condensation will take place. That's what I don't like about it. So we move on now to clouds. Cumulus clouds are low-level clouds. They are like huge pieces of cotton in the sky, and they bring fair weather. They are low, white, fluffy, and heap. Cumulus means heap, pile, or pile in Latin. It was 130. 7 thereabout. So number 138. What is a wind barb? A wind barb is used to tell wind direction or and wind speed. The wind barb is usually attached to a circle to show cloud cover. The point where it joins the circle tells the direction from which the wind is blowing. Meteorologists measure wind speed in knots. So what is climate? Climate is the average weather conditions experienced over 30 years or more in a particular place. We can tell the climate of a place by studying the weather for about 30 years. What are the factors affecting climate? These factors include latitude, altitude, distance from the sea, prevailing winds, and ocean currents. 141. We're moving now to forces and motion. What is a force? A force is a push, pull, or twist that gives energy to an object, sometimes causing a change in the motion of the object. What is the unit for measuring force? The unit for measuring force is Newton, and it's abbreviated with the N. What is friction? Friction is a force that opposes movement. This means that friction slows down or stops moving objects. What would happen if friction didn't exist? Without friction, we would not be able to walk. You'd slip. Drive a car, the wheels would just spin around. Ride a bicycle, the wheels just spin around. Or lift things because you need friction between your fingertips and, say, for example, your pencil. How can friction be reduced? Well, friction can be reduced by lubricating the surface with oil or grease, using rollers or ball bearings, or making the surface smoother. What is gravity? Well, gravity is the invisible force that pulls things to the center of the earth. What's magnetism? Magnetism is the force that causes objects made from iron, nickel, steel, and cobalt, and this one, to be pulled toward an object. That looks like gadolinium, to be pulled toward an object. That was 147. 148 now. What happens to place it when you place the north pole of one magnet near the north pole of another? It says you will discover that the poles push apart from each other or repel. So like poles repel and unlike poles attract. So 149, what happens when the north pole and south pole of two magnets are placed near to one another? They attract. 150, what is the name of the unit used to measure electrical current? Ampere. 151, what is the name of the device used to open and close a circuit? That is called a switch. Floating and sinking. And I will stop here for tonight. We have done one solid hour. When we pick up again, we need to continue from here. So we'll go to 152. All right, guys, this has been a good one. I hope that this presentation, that this worksheet is helping you to, remember to refresh all those things from grade 5 and grade 4 that you may have forgotten about. Take the time to go through your workbook. We went to the science units right here in our class meetings. Please look over because we want future scientists to have good grades all the way from primary school all the way through, so that our society will be better on later on. Our society will be better off later on. All right, guys, take care. See you guys tomorrow.